In the quiet hours of night, when the world softens into stillness, the earth seems to breathe with memories older than any surviving tale. Beneath deserts, jungles, and ruined temples washed in starlight, entire civilizations sleep under layers of dust. Their stories flicker like distant embers, tempting us with what they might reveal. And in that hush, one question lingers like a whisper. What if the greatest human stories are the ones we'll never fully uncover? In this wide silence, there is a reason ancient civilizations cling to our imagination long after their stones have crumbled. In a calm, dreamlike state, their mysteries feel closer, as if the distance of centuries thins for a moment. Historians are baffled by lost technologies, impossible architecture, and cultures that vanished without explanation. Each unanswered question pulls us deeper, inviting us to imagine what once stood where only ruins remain. And perhaps that is why these ancient worlds haunt us. They remind us that history is far less complete than we like to believe. Human history, as we know it, is stitched together from fragments, scattered across continents like pieces of a puzzle missing most of its edges. Entire civilizations appear abruptly in the archaeological record, only to fade just as suddenly, leaving behind shards, symbols, and questions. Our timeline is not a smooth trajectory, but a series of disconnected lights flickering in a vast darkness. For every culture we understand, there are others we barely recognize, whispered only through ruins or rumors. And with each discovery, the same unsettling thought returns. What else lies beneath the ground, still waiting to be found for us? Every major civilization we uncover seems to leave behind traces that challenge our understanding of what ancient people were capable of. Stone blocks cut with impossible precision, temples aligned to stars with mathematical accuracy, and legends that sound less like myth and more like distant memory. Archaeologists debate artifacts that refuse to fit neatly into any known timeline, as if they belong to cultures far older or more advanced than expected. These echoes linger across deserts and mountains, hinting at knowledge once held and then mysteriously lost. And as we trace these clues, a quiet suspicion grows. History may remember far less than it forgets, leaving us wondering how many civilizations rose and fell beyond our grasp entirely long ago. So now, as the night settles around us, this journey becomes something more than a simple exploration of history. It becomes a quiet passage through vanished landscapes where forgotten cities rise again in the imagination and long, silent voices echo faintly through the dark. We drift together across continents and centuries, following the faint trails left by civilizations that refuse to be fully understood. Each chapter will open a doorway into a mystery that still unsettles scholars, inviting us to look closer at the shadows. History tries to smooth away, and with every step, the ancient world stirs, waiting to be remembered once more. It began on a quiet Turkish hillside where a shepherd noticed something unnatural rising from the soil. Smooth stone edges where there should have been only earth. That small discovery revealed a site older than agriculture, older than pottery, older than anything resembling organized society. As archaeologists brushed away the dust, they realized they were looking at a structure that had no business existing in its time. And in that moment, a startling question emerged. What if our entire understanding of human origins is wrong? Göbekli Tepe stands as one of archaeology's greatest paradoxes. It predates cities, farming, and writing, yet its architecture shows deliberate planning and complex engineering. Enormous T-shaped pillars weighing tons were shaped, transported, and arranged in perfect circles, by people supposedly living simple, nomadic lives. Researchers struggle to explain how hunter gatherers, without livestock, metal tools, or permanent settlements, constructed what appears to be a ceremonial complex of astonishing sophistication. Some suggest its builders possessed knowledge far beyond what their era should allow, while others argue we may have profoundly underestimated early humans. But no explanation fits neatly, leaving Göbekli Tepe suspended in a realm between fact and impossibility. At the heart of Göbekli Tepe stand the enigmatic pillars, each carved with animals that seem to carry symbolic or perhaps cosmological meaning. Scorpions, foxes, vultures, snakes, and abstract shapes swirl across the stones like fragments of a forgotten language. Some researchers believe these carvings record celestial patterns, hinting at an early astronomy far beyond expectation. Others notice alignments between the pillars and certain stars, subtle yet provocative. In whispered corners of the academic world, a theory circulates. What if this site was not merely ceremonial, but a star map, an ancient attempt to chart the heavens long before recorded history began? Perhaps the most haunting mystery of Göbekli Tepe is not how it was built, but why it was buried. Layer after layer of backfill, stone, gravel, debris was deliberately packed over the site, sealing it from the world. Was this a ritual closure meant to end an era, a desperate attempt to hide sacred knowledge from approaching danger, or the final act of a people confronting catastrophe? The intentional burial is undeniable, yet no one agrees on the reason. Whatever happened, the choice to entomb the structures feels purposeful, even urgent, as if its builders wanted Göbekli Tepe forgotten. As researchers study Göbekli Tepe, a troubling possibility takes shape. Maybe this site is not an isolated wonder, but the surviving trace of a civilization erased by time. Its sophistication suggests inherited knowledge, not sudden genius. Yet no known culture fits the pattern. Was Göbekli Tepe the first spark of organized society, or the last echo of something far older, now lost beneath millennia of earth and silence? The answers remain hidden, leaving us to wonder whether history began earlier, advanced faster, and ended more abruptly than we ever imagined. Among all the monuments scattered across the Nile, the Great Pyramid stands as the most unsettling testament to ancient engineering. Its vast limestone body is aligned almost perfectly to true north, deviating by only a fraction of a degree, as if its builders possessed instruments far more precise than history allows. Each block, weighing several tons, was set with a precision that modern tools struggle to replicate. The ratios embedded in its shape echo mathematical constants still studied today. Even with modern cranes, replicating it would be nearly impossible, leaving us to wonder how a civilization so ancient achieved feats that seem to defy time itself. Its silence challenges every assumption we make about human capability in the ancient world. Recent Muon scans have revealed hidden cavities deep within the Great Pyramid, chambers no one suspected and whose purpose remains unknown. These voids appear in places that make little architectural sense, as if intentionally concealed from any future intruder. Some researchers believe they may hold ritual significance, while others argue they were engineering features never meant to be accessed. Yet the question persists: why would the builders hide rooms no one could ever enter? The discovery forces us to reconsider whether the pyramid was simply a tomb or a structure designed with secrets woven into its very core, waiting quietly for the moment modern science finally notices their troubling presence. In a quarry at Aswan lies the unfinished obelisk, a single stone monolith weighing an estimated 1,200 tons. It remains attached to the bedrock, abandoned after a crack formed along its side. No one knows how the ancient Egyptians intended to lift, transport, or erect such a colossal piece. Its sheer size challenges every assumption about their technological limits, leaving behind a frozen moment where ambition met mystery and the impossible was revealed in raw, unshaped granite for us all. The Sphinx, weathered by millennia of wind and sand, holds another controversy carved into its massive body. Some geologists argue that the deep, rounded erosion patterns across its enclosure were caused not by desert storms, but by heavy rainfall, implying the monument could be thousands of years older than traditionally believed. If true, it would place the Sphinx in an era when no known Egyptian civilization existed to carve it. Historians remain divided, each side defending its timeline fiercely. The thought lingers: what else did the desert swallow, hiding entire chapters of human history beneath shifting dunes, waiting patiently for the rare moment curiosity uncovers their long forgotten truths again today? These mysteries form what many call Egypt's timeline paradox, a growing sense that the civilization we study was built upon older foundations now lost to history. Artifacts appear too advanced, monuments seem too ancient, and knowledge emerges fully developed rather than slowly evolving. Such contradictions raise unsettling questions about proto-civilizations that may have risen and fallen long before the dynasties we know. If layers of sand conceal these forgotten worlds, how much of Egypt's past remains buried beyond our reach? Among the relics of ancient Mesopotamia sits a small clay jar that continues to baffle researchers, the so-called Baghdad battery. Inside, traces of copper and iron suggest it may have generated a weak electrical charge, a concept that should have been centuries beyond its makers. If it wasn't a battery, what was it? A ritual object, a medical device, a tool for metalworking? Each theory clashes with the next, leaving us with a single lingering tension. The ancients may have known more than our textbooks are prepared to admit. One of the oldest surviving depictions of the cosmos comes not from Greece or Rome, but from Babylon. Etched into clay, the map outlines the world and heavens with a clarity that feels shockingly scientific for its time. It divides regions, marks celestial zones, and attempts to place humanity within a structured universe. Scholars debate its origins, unsure whether such sophistication emerged spontaneously or reflects knowledge inherited from even older cultures. If the Babylonians were building on forgotten foundations, then the map becomes more than a curiosity. It becomes a window into scientific traditions far more ancient than we ever imagined. Babylonian astronomers left behind tablets that reveal a level of mathematical and observational skill seemingly out of place in the ancient world. Their records of Jupiter's movement show they used area under the curve calculations, a method strikingly similar to integral calculus, over 1,500 years before its documented invention in Europe. These weren't crude approximations. Their predictions were stunningly accurate, refined through generations of careful sky watching. How did a society lacking telescopes or modern instruments develop such advanced methods? The discovery suggests either a remarkable leap of intellectual brilliance or the survival of knowledge passed through channels lost to history. Either way, Babylon scholars stand as silent challengers to our assumptions about the timeline of human science. The biblical story of the Tower of Babel has long been treated as myth, Yet some historians believe it may reflect a real structure, a massive ziggurat rising above ancient Mesopotamia. These tiered temples reached astonishing heights, dominating the skyline in an age when massive architecture seemed impossible. The tower may have served not just as a religious monument, but as a symbolic reminder of humanity's early ambition, perhaps even representing a fall from forgotten knowledge. Whether literal or metaphorical, the legend hints at a time when human capability reached upward before something shattered that ascent and scattered the pieces. Despite their achievements, Babylonian scientific traditions eventually vanished, leaving later civilizations to rebuild what had once been mastered. Libraries burned, cities fell, and advanced methods dissolved into myth. How could such a sophisticated knowledge system disappear almost overnight? The abrupt silence suggests collapse, war, or perhaps a deeper cultural fracture that erased centuries of progress. Whatever the cause, the loss feels deliberate, as if history closed a door on a chapter. Humanity was never meant to fully reopen. The Indus Valley civilization stands as one of history's quietest enigmas, a vast society stretching across river plains, yet leaving behind almost nothing that reveals who its people truly were. We don't know what they called themselves, what language they spoke, or what beliefs guided their daily lives. Their script, etched into seals and pottery, remains silently undeciphered. It feels as if an entire civilization lived without leaving a clear voice behind, as though they erased their own identity or simply never imagined anyone would need the answers. The result is a haunting absence, a people advanced enough to shape cities, yet mysterious enough to dissolve into anonymity. Linguists have spent decades trying to unlock the Indus script, but every attempt slips through the cracks of certainty. No bilingual tablets have been found, no Rosetta Stone to act as a bridge, and without that anchor, the symbols remain maddeningly opaque. The script's brevity and the scarcity of long inscriptions complicate the puzzle further. Some experts argue it isn't a language at all, but a system of symbols, while others insist it encodes a linguistic structure still waiting to be understood. Every new discovery brings hope, but no breakthrough endures. The script stands unbroken, a silent code that continues to defy scholars, leaving us with the unsettling feeling that we're listening to a voice we can no longer hear. What makes the Indus Valley even more mysterious is how its cities appear fully developed from their earliest layers. Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa boast straight streets, drainage systems more advanced than many modern towns, standardized brick sizes, and carefully calibrated weights. Yet there is no trace of the gradual experimentation or primitive prototypes one would expect. It's as if the civilization emerged already knowing exactly how to build an efficient, organized urban world. This sudden sophistication raises questions about where they learned such methods or whether they inherited knowledge from cultures even older, now erased by time. Perhaps the greatest mystery of the Indus Valley is how it ended. This sprawling civilization, home to more than 1 million people, seems to have dissolved quietly. No signs of widespread war, destruction, or invasion stain the archaeological record. Houses were left as if residents simply walked away. Some believe climate change or shifting rivers forced mass migration, while others suspect disease or social fragmentation. Yet none of the theories fully explain the scale or silence of the disappearance. A vast society faded without a clear cause, leaving only the echo of a departure no one witnessed. When a civilization leaves behind perfect engineering, undecipherable writing, and an ending without explanation, the mind drifts toward possibilities we rarely consider. Perhaps the Indus understood climate cycles better than we do and moved before disaster struck. Perhaps they possessed scientific or environmental knowledge that helped them adapt in ways we haven't yet uncovered. Or perhaps their departure marks a pattern in history we've yet to recognize. Either way, the Indus Valley hints at wisdom lost, reminding us that forgotten knowledge may still lie buried beneath ancient soils. For centuries, Western explorers insisted that the Amazon rainforest could never support large civilizations, believing its soil too poor and its terrain too unforgiving. Yet modern LIDAR scans have shattered that assumption, revealing networks of roads, causeways, and geometric urban layouts hidden beneath the dense canopy. Entire cities, once dismissed as fantasy, now emerge as ghostly grids etched into the forest floor. These discoveries suggest a population far larger and more organized than previously imagined. For centuries, explorers insisted the Amazon held only tribes. They were wrong. The rainforest itself guarded the ruins, preserving a lost world that now rises back into view through beams of invisible light. Across the Peruvian desert, enormous figures stretch across the earth. Spirals, animals, straight lines running for miles. The Nazca lines can only be fully seen from the air, yet they were created long before flight was possible. Why draw on such a colossal scale? Were the lines ceremonial pathways, astronomical markers, or messages intended for gods above? The desert offers no explanation. The creators left no written record, only silent shapes etched into the ground, challenging us to understand a vision of the world we no longer share. Scattered across ancient Mesoamerica are the colossal heads of the Olmec civilization, towering stone sculptures with distinct facial features, each one unique. Carved from massive basalt boulders transported from quarries miles away, these heads demonstrate an astonishing ability to move and shape stone at a scale few cultures of the era could match. Their purpose remains unknown. Were they rulers, guardians, or representations of something more symbolic? Their expressions, serene yet powerful, feel like echoes of individuals whose stories have been erased. The sheer labor required to create them suggests an organized society with sophisticated engineering. Yet so much about the Olmec remains shrouded in mystery, leaving these stone faces as their most enduring enigmatic legacy. The Maya civilization, once thriving with towering pyramids, advanced astronomy, and bustling cities, experienced a sudden and perplexing decline. Populations dwindled, major centers were abandoned, and the great dynasties faded into silence. Climate change, prolonged drought, warfare, political instability, each theory offers part of the explanation, but none account for the scale and speed of the collapse. The archaeological record reveals disruption, but not destruction. It feels as though a vast society simply unraveled from within, leaving behind monumental architecture and an astronomy so precise it still astonishes modern scholars. Something happened, but the full story remains just out of reach. Across the Americas, patterns appear, shared symbols, alignments, architectural styles, and mythic themes spread across immense distances. These similarities suggest more than coincidence. They hint at networks of knowledge, trade, or belief, linking cultures once thought isolated. Perhaps a broader civilization connected these regions, its influence rippling through time before dissolving. If so, much of its legacy lies hidden beneath forests, deserts, and ruins waiting to be understood. The Americas whisper of a larger story, one that archaeology is only beginning to uncover. Beneath the earth of Xi'an rests the terracotta army, thousands of silent warriors guarding the tomb of China's first emperor. Yet beyond their sheer scale lies a technological mystery that modern science struggles to explain. Many of the bronze weapons buried with the soldiers are coated in a thin layer of chromium oxide, a treatment that prevents corrosion. This early form of chrome plating would not be rediscovered in the West until the 19th century, yet it appears here, perfected 2,000 years earlier. How the Qin artisans achieved such remarkable preservation remains unknown, whether through lost chemistry, accidental genius, or inherited knowledge. The terracotta army holds a secret that resists every attempt at replication, whispering of advances long forgotten. At the heart of the complex lies the unopened tomb of Emperor Qin Shi Huang, a chamber so shrouded in myth and danger that archaeologists hesitate to disturb it. Ancient texts describe rivers of mercury flowing through a model of his empire, meant to grant immortality. For years, it sounded like exaggeration until soil tests around the mound revealed unusually high mercury concentrations. If the texts are true, the tomb may contain engineering wonders or toxins, unlike anything we've seen. Out of caution and respect, the chamber remains sealed, leaving its secrets suspended in darkness beneath the earth, untouched since the emperor's final breath. Among the more controversial relics attributed to ancient China are the drapa stones, circular discs said to bear microscopic inscriptions spiraling toward the center. Some stories claim these inscriptions describe an arrival from the sky, referencing beings who descended in a distant era. Scholars remain deeply divided. Many dismiss the stones as misunderstandings or fabrications, while others argue too many details persist across accounts to ignore entirely. The stones themselves, rarely studied openly, hover in a space between legend and possibility. Whether they record mythic journeys, symbolic stories, or something stranger, the Dropa stones have become a modern enigma tied to ancient whispers of contact and celestial visitors. China's dynasties produced breakthroughs that seem to appear fully formed in the historical record, as if the ideas arrived whole rather than evolving gradually. Gunpowder emerged suddenly, transforming warfare. Early seismographs detected distant earthquakes with astonishing accuracy. Mechanical clocks with intricate gears appeared centuries before Europe adopted similar designs. These leaps in innovation challenge our assumptions about how knowledge develops. They suggest either a culture of brilliant experimentation or the survival of older, undocumented traditions. Either way, China's inventions sit at a crossroads between ingenuity and mystery, hinting at technological lineages we can no longer trace. Across China, countless imperial tombs remain untouched, their contents sealed beneath mounds of yellow earth. Some are too fragile to excavate, others are protected by tradition, fear, or uncertainty. Within them may rest lost texts, unknown machines, or artworks that rewrite entire chapters of history. As we imagine these silent chambers, a dreamy sense of anticipation settles in. The ground below holds stories paused in time, waiting for the distant moment when technology, courage, and curiosity finally converge. What else lies hidden, still asleep beneath the soil? Rising from the savannas of southeastern Africa, the ruins of Great Zimbabwe stand as a testament to a civilization whose story remains largely unwritten. Massive stone walls curve and spiral with architectural precision, yet no mortar holds them together. Each block fits so perfectly that the structure has endured centuries of wind and rain. Despite its grandeur, no clear records identify who built it, why it was constructed, or how such engineering skill emerged seemingly without precedent. Colonial prejudice once dismissed the idea of African builders, but even after that narrative was overturned, mystery persists. Great Zimbabwe feels like a city separated from its own history, a monument built with purpose, yet abandoned with silence. In the cliffs of Mali, the Dogon people maintain a rich cosmology that includes knowledge of Sirius B, a dense companion star invisible to the naked eye and unknown to Western science until the 20th century. Their legends describe it with uncanny accuracy, raising questions that have puzzled anthropologists for decades. Some believe this knowledge was purely symbolic, a coincidence woven into myth. Others suggest ancient observation methods now lost, and a few whisper the possibility of inherited knowledge passed down through forgotten ages, coincidence or inherited wisdom. The Dogon tradition challenges us to consider how ancient cultures understood the skies long before modern astronomy. Far to the south of Egypt, in the sands of Sudan, stand the pyramids of Nubia, more numerous than Egypt's own, yet far less studied. These slender, steep structures mark the tombs of kings and queens from powerful dynasties whose histories remain fragmented. Many were plundered or destroyed, and the written records that survived are incomplete. Yet the artistry of their construction reveals a civilization deeply connected to, yet distinct from, its northern neighbor. Nubia's pyramids hint at a kingdom once influential and sophisticated, its story dimmed not by failure but by the erosion of time and the neglect of modern study. In Ethiopia, a centuries-old belief holds that the Ark of the Covenant rests within a modest chapel in Axum, guarded by a single priest whose life is devoted to its protection. No one else is allowed to see the relic, and its chamber remains perpetually sealed. Whether the Ark truly lies inside or not, the tradition itself speaks to an enduring sense of mystery. It suggests a lineage of sacred objects and ancient rituals preserved in secret, hinting that some histories survive not in books, but in whispered devotion and guarded silence. Across the continent, scholars suspect that countless manuscripts, artifacts, and oral histories lie untouched in desert caves, remote monasteries, and forgotten ruins. These hidden archives may contain stories that challenge established timelines or reveal civilizations barely mentioned in modern texts. Africa's past is vast, layered, and still incompletely explored. Somewhere beneath the sands and stones may rest entire chapters of human history waiting to be rediscovered, offering new perspectives on how ancient knowledge once flowed across continents. Some researchers believe that traces of forgotten civilizations may have been erased not by slow decay, but by sudden catastrophe. The Younger Dryas period, occurring roughly 12,000 years ago, saw abrupt cooling, massive meltwater floods, and possible comet impacts. Evidence of scorched soil layers, nanodiamonds, and widespread extinction patterns suggests something violent occurred on a global scale. If early cultures existed before this climatic upheaval, their cities, monuments, and technologies could have been swept away in days. Megafloods may have drowned entire regions, leaving only hints buried beneath silt and sea. The ancient cataclysm hypothesis proposes that humanity's memory is shorter than Earth's disasters, and that our history may have restarted more than once. While Atlantis is often dismissed as myth, some scholars consider it a symbolic echo of an older seafaring culture, one capable of crossing oceans or trading across vast distances long before recorded history. Plato described a powerful island civilization that rose and fell in a single night, a tale that may blend memory with metaphor. Perhaps the story reflects real events, coastal societies devastated by rising seas or shifting shorelines after the last ice age. The Atlantis archetype persists because it taps into a deeper intuition that somewhere, long ago, advanced cultures may have lived and vanished, leaving only mythic shadows behind. Scattered throughout the world are artifacts that challenge conventional timelines. The Antikythera mechanism, recovered from a Greek shipwreck, reveals intricate gears capable of predicting eclipses, technology centuries ahead of its era. The Piri race map appears to depict coastlines with an accuracy inexplicable for its time, including regions supposedly unmapped until much later. Even small metal spheres found in geological layers spark controversy, their precision grooves raising questions no one fully answers. These out-of-place artifacts disrupt the neat progression of human development taught in textbooks. Each one raises eyebrows, not because it proves a lost civilization outright, but because it demonstrates that ancient knowledge may have been far more complex, far more interconnected than we assume. Across mythologies worldwide, stories speak of wandering teachers, sages, or survivors who appeared after great disasters, bringing knowledge of agriculture, astronomy, and architecture to scattered communities. These figures, Osiris in Egypt, Quetzalcoatl in Mesoamerica, Viracocha in the Andes, share uncanny similarities. The knowledge transfer theory suggests these myths may recount real events, remnants of advanced societies moving through a fractured world, preserving fragments of their culture by teaching others. Whether symbolic or literal, the stories hint at a flow of wisdom that predates known civilizations, passed like embers from one fading world into the next. When we gather all these clues, cataclysms, myths, unexplained artifacts, they paint a picture both humbling and unsettling. Perhaps the rise of civilization is not a single upward climb, but a repeating cycle of ascent and collapse. If earlier societies reached heights now forgotten, their remains may lie erased by time, water, and fire. The thought lingers with quiet weight. History might be far older than we think, and as we dig deeper into the earth, we may not be discovering the beginning of our story, but only the latest chapter in a far longer saga. Across the ancient world, we find fragments of stories that never quite align, ruins without builders, scripts without translations, cities swallowed by forests, and technologies that seem too advanced for their age. Each civilization offers hints but rarely answers, leaving us with threads that refuse to connect. The more we learn, the more aware we become of the vast spaces between our knowledge. These gaps aren't just academic questions, they shape how we imagine our place in time. And as we look back across millennia, we sense that our understanding of the past is still only a faint outline drawn against overwhelming darkness. Perhaps part of our fascination with ancient mysteries comes from a deeper fear, the fear of being forgotten. Ruins remind us that entire worlds once thrived where silence now reigns. Their secrets pull us in because they echo something buried within us, a memory of past catastrophes or cycles of loss carried quietly through generations. We're drawn to these remnants not out of morbid curiosity, but because they reflect something universal. They remind us that civilizations, no matter how powerful, can fade, and that understanding their stories may help us understand our own fragility. All across the planet, from ocean floors to drifting deserts, lie the remains of worlds that once pulsed with life. Stone avenues buried under shifting sands, temples swallowed by jungles, and entire coastlines drowned beneath rising seas form a dreamscape of forgotten knowledge. These places seem to rest in an eternal sleep, their secrets preserved but inaccessible, wrapped in layers of silence that only time can weave. When we imagine these vanished civilizations, it feels like drifting through a half remembered dream, one where the boundaries between reality and myth blur. In these quiet spaces, we sense the weight of all we've lost and the tantalizing possibility that some truths remain just out of reach, waiting for their moment to awaken. Every civilization believes it will endure, convinced its knowledge, power, and achievements will secure its future. Yet history shows us that even the greatest empires can collapse with startling speed. Natural disasters, climate shifts, internal fractures, any of these can unravel a society far more advanced than its predecessors. As we contemplate the ruins of ancient cultures, an uncomfortable question emerges. Are we any different? The patterns of rise and fall echo across ages, reminding us that permanence is an illusion and that even our modern world may be far more fragile than we like to admit. And so we end where the night deepens, with mysteries unresolved and possibilities still stretching beyond the horizon. Each unanswered question becomes an invitation, urging us to keep searching, digging, and imagining. Somewhere beneath the soil or beneath the waves, another discovery waits, one capable of rewriting everything we think we know. Until that moment arrives, we move forward with quiet humility, aware that our journey through history is far from complete. The past is patient. Its secrets linger in silence, waiting for the next curious mind to stumble upon them and bring forgotten worlds back into the light.